I think it would go better if the firefighter took 2 steps to the right. So you're starting a development project. Well, the first thing you're going to need is a development environment. Now, there are quite a few ways to set up a development environment for your project and manage the life cycle, and quite a few factors to consider as well. And while many people have their opinions about the right way to set up a development environment, we prefer our way. It might not be perfect, but we think it strikes a good balance that fits our particular set of dysfunctional needs. Let me show you what I mean. So the project we're starting out is building a new website, and we're playing around with a new CMS called Grav. So because Grav isn't connected to a database and is only file-based, we can control the entire site versioning all through Git. So we'll set up a Git repository first. We use GitLab. So off to GitLab we go. New project, create a blank project. This is going to be, we're going to put this in the rogue, folks, and we're going to say Grav site. Initialize the thing. So that potentially should work. So we've got a Git repository all set up. So this is going to be a PHP website hosted on an Apache web server. Now there's a lot of easy ways to develop for an Apache website. WAMP would be one of the first ones to come to mind if you want to have a local dev environment on your computer. We want to actually collaborate on this website. So we want to have it on an Ubuntu server or a Linux server on our network. We have an XCP ng VM stack, so we're going to spin up a blank VM so that we can all connect to the VM and develop on that. Okay, so we've got a Goldmaster Ubuntu 2004 server on here. Okay, so we're going to do a quick download of those updates. So we've got a clean with LAMP stack. So that's basically what we want to start developing on. So we've got our virtual machine provisioned, and it should be running Apache already. So we're going to confirm that by just going to its IP address, and sure, Apache's running. Great. Okay, let's clone the repository into the default Apache folder. There are going to be people who say there's not a lot of looking at security here. I know, because we're all on our local network and we're not going to be accessing this from the wild web. This isn't a video about hardening servers. This is a video about developing on servers. Git clone, not cline, clone, https:// and gitlab.com/our team/gravsite. Permission denied. Ugh. Okay, kids, what I'm about to do here is obviously not for a production environment. 777, sure, why not? Give it a username, give it your password, ta-da! And now we have a Grav site. Okay, so now, if we go to Grav site, hey, there's our repository. Okay, so to recap, we've got our VM provisioned, it's running Apache, we've got a Git repository that's going to have our website in it. We've cloned it into Apache and can navigate to it on our network. Let's put some website files there. Okay, let's go see. What do we got? Grav CMS. Downloads. Okay, let's go into here. We're going to wget our Grav. There we go. And then we're going to unzip. Now we've got the Grav admin folder, and if we navigate to it, and now we start seeing the extensions that are required that we don't have installed. Service, Apache to restart. Error 500. Let's go see why we've got error 500. Oh, yeah. Because Apache is running as www, and we've got everything in here as Grav admin, as rogue admin. Okay, so www. There we go. Okay, so now we just got to get a bunch more of our dependencies figured out. And then once you replace allow override none to allow override all in your HTTP config, you'll get your Grav setup screen. So this actually takes you to the form to create your first user on Grav. here's our Grav. So this is the default install. We're not going to really dive into Grav. We just want to be able to muck around with a project, and this just happens to be the project, of course, that we're doing. So what's the next step? Now we need to be able to futz with it. So in our site here, we've got our folders, and we want to be able to go and change those files directly. All of you super elite terminal users will just go in and use your favorite terminal code editor, but we're going to do something a little different. Visual Studio Code is fast becoming one of the default, if not already the default code editor for your desktop, but there is also Code Server, which lets you install what looks like Visual Studio Code on a Linux server and actually lets you, through a browser window, edit with all of the same tools and extensions. So we're going to go and install that. Once you've run the install script, you want to make sure you don't do that, of course, as root. You can, from a terminal window, start up Code Server by just simply typing Code Server. That'll create your default config file, which is the first thing we're going to go and edit. We want this service to bind to all addresses, port 8080. The authorization to get into it is a password. You can set this up with a SSL cert to connect as well. Again, we're in the comfort of our own office where we're only accessing it through our network, so we're not all that concerned about security with here. We're going to set up a nice and secure password, QWERTY to start it up. All we're going to do is type in Code Server again. So if we travel now to our local IP address, port 8080, now we're greeted with a nice little dialog, welcome to Code Server. Now we're taken to something that looks an awful lot like Code Server. We're going to open the folder and we can navigate around our server here. We're going to go to the project home. It's in Grav, it's in the Grav site. So we're going to open up the Grav site. Okay, so in our dashboard, we're able to create our pages and whatnot, but if we wanted to get in there and change the structure or the templates that are included in here, we need to actually get in there and do some coding. Okay, so from here, we're going to get together and collaborate on how we're going to customize these templates. We can do that together from our own workstations because we all just log into the Code Server site on the web page, and then we're able to concurrently edit. Once we've decided on a final draft on the development environment, then we can push that to our Git repository for pulling down to our production environment and going live. So to sum up, we've cloned a snapshot of a Linux virtual machine that's acting as our development server. We provisioned a Git repository and cloned it onto said development server. We've dumped Grav CMS into the root of the Apache server, and then we've allowed access to the source files via Code Server installed on the server itself so that we can edit through a browser window. Now, this wouldn't be obviously a great development environment if this were a very complex C-based or C++ based project. Obviously those require different solutions, but for a website, something like this I think gives really agile collaborative benefits. Well, at this point, there's nothing left but the mess. See you next week. Am I still radiant? What's the words? Words. Stay in school, don't do drugs, and enable 2FA. Can't talk and type at the same time. I don't think I should have any more coffee today. GravSite's awfully close to Gravesite. We should have the ability... Nothing's working. What did we do?